Yo guys, what is up? My name is Gian and welcome back to FPL Tribe. In this video, we're going to discuss the best premium players. This will be players priced from 10 million all the way up to 12.5 million. Go through their stats from last season. Go through their starting fixtures to see which of them we would want in our team at the start of the season. If you enjoy this video, please give it a like, give it a subscribe, and join the tribe. Cheers. The first player on the list, Jung Min Song from Tottenham, coming in at 10 million. If you look at that stats, he had one of his best seasons ever last year. Expected goals per 90 coming in at 0.39. Expected assists per 90 coming in at 0.29. This is really good stats for a midfielder, playing more as a winger, not really seeing much of the ball in the middle of the park. But he formed a really good partnership with Harry Kane. So they also lost their manager mid-season. So for me, it's really impressive that he could keep pushing until the end. With a new manager taking over this season, we don't know where Son will be playing. It looks like in most of the preseason, he's playing up top as a striker, as I think Tottenham is preparing for life without Harry Kane, and Son is looking like he's going to fit into that striker. So a midfielder that plays out of position and a really good finisher, as we saw in the previous seasons. So for me, someone to look at if we know what position he's going to play at. So just keep an eye out on him and watch what position he appears in or pops up in the most of the games and make a decision from that. The second player on my list, Harry Kane, coming in at 12.5 million, equal with Mo Salah as the most expensive player in the game. And if you look at that stats, you can see why. 23 goals and 14 assists, winning the Golden Boot last season, having one of the best seasons I've ever seen in Premier League history. So for me, a really good option, but that it has to be said, if he moves to Man City, he becomes an even better option with players like Foden, Mahrez, Kevin De Bruyne behind him. I think he might even score 30 goals, 35 goals in a season. I know that sounds like a lot, but for a clinical finisher as Harry Kane, and getting a lot of good balls into his feet for him to work with, I think he can really do that. So for me, if he stays at Tottenham, I don't consider him as a must-have, but if he moves to Man City, definitely a really good option for me, and I'll be looking in this last week before the season starts if he makes the move or what's going to happen. Because if he moves to City, I really want him. Expected goals per 90 coming in at 0.58. That's really good. I don't want to talk about his fixtures too much because I don't know if he's going to be at Tottenham when the season starts. So just have a look and see where he is. But if he goes to City, I would really recommend you get him in. The third player on my list, Kevin De Bruyne from Man City, coming in at 12 million. As we talked about him in the previous video when we saw Harry Kane, probably one of the best playmakers in the world at the moment, and having injuries last season and coming into this season with an injury that he picked up in the Euros, I don't think I'll be going for Kevin De Bruyne right from the start, but once he gets fit, he is the best player in the Premier League for me. So I'll definitely give it a go once he's fit and his fixtures become easy. But for a team like Man City, you don't really need to look at fixtures as they dominate most of the teams. Kevin De Bruyne being the best player in that team will get the points. So it all depends on his injury, if he's match fit or not, if I will go for him at some point in this season. The second last player on this list, Bruno Fernandez for Man United, coming in at 12 million. For me, he's a really good option. He had a poor end of the season and he had a pretty bad Euros. So I don't know in what type of form he is, but he is the talisman in that Man United team for me. On penalties, and as we know, Man United get a lot of penalties. He scored 18 goals, 14 assists last season. That's really good. Expected goals per 90 coming in at 0.51. That's a return every second game for a midfielder. That's really good. So Man United having one of the easiest starting fixtures in the leads. That's really attacking and not the best defense. Southampton, that started the season well and not finished it too good. So I would like Bruno Fernandez to get a goal or assist there. Wolves having a new manager. We don't know how that's going to work out. Newcastle really lucky to just survive last season. So Bruno Fernandez, I think, will be essential at the start of the season. and you might even look to captain him in any of those first 4 games. So for me, definitely someone I have my eye on, and he might make it into my first week's team. The fifth and final guy on the list, Mohamed Salah for Liverpool, coming in at 12.5 million. As you guys can see, really good stats last year. 22 goals, 6 assists, expected goals per 90, coming in at 0.64. That's where Mo Salah gets most of his points. Looking at the expected assists per 90, coming in at 0.32. If you combine his expected goals per 90 and his expected assists per 90, that almost gives you 1 return every game, every 90 minutes. So for me, a really good option. Having one of the best starting fixtures in the whole of the competition, Norwich, Burnley, Chelsea, Leeds. You might be surprised if Mo Salah don't get 3 returns at least, but I'll expect more than that in those first 4 weeks, just because he plays in Liverpool's side that's really attacking, and he's probably one of the best finishers in the competition. So for me, definitely someone I'm going to start with, and probably going to captain him in most games. So guys, that's it from me for this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like, give me a subscribe, and remember to let me know down in the comments which one of these players you'll be picking in your first game week squad. Cheers guys.